Hey guys, Ashlane here, coming at you today with the third installment of Post-Update Farming, where we discuss some of the potential issues in farming right now in the game, and then we try to bring you ways to solve those issues and play within the new system. Tomorrow I'll be having my thoughts on how to fix a lot of the issues, but for today we're going to talk about what those issues are and provide new ways to win in the new system. So let's hop right into it here. There's good news and there's bad news. A little bit of real talk for you guys here, because you hear so much complaining, it's hard to parcel out which is justified real issues in the game and which is just the normal echo chamber slash the negativity that surrounds every single update that comes out, right? So you have to, a responsible clasher has to sit down and take a long, hard look at things. Is it really broken? And if so, what elements are broken and what can we do to fix it? What can we suggest to fix it? So the good news is that farming's not dead, even at Town Hall 9. I've been farming fine. I did a couple sessions now just so I had some experience before I spoke on the topic at Town Hall 9, on my Town Hall 9 account. And a lot of my clanmates, a lot of my alliance mates are having a ton of success with 3 strategies that I'm going to outline in just a second. So that is, farming is fine and well, and loot seems to be all right, with a huge exception. There is one huge caveat to that, and that is the next point down on the menu here, is that BARCH is on life support. And why is that? Well, it's because of the dead base dilemma that I want to get into a little bit right now. So this is anecdotal. I've never been told by Supercell, and Supercell has certainly not come out and addressed why or if they did indeed remove a number of dead bases from the system. They already did remove some number of dead bases from the system, and then they would trickle them in to kind of stabilize the economy. You don't want to put all the dead bases out there immediately. That's why you had the golden hour and things like that after updates, when they would put more than normal bases out there in circulation. But getting back to the dilemma right now is, I did say I had anecdotal evidence because I don't want to go ahead and make a statement like this without at least something to support it. And I've been asking all my friends, my clan mates, my alliance mates, and other outside the well-known farmers who I have relationships with, if they've experienced the same thing, and that is way less dead bases. So the evidence that I talked about earlier is that if you have a second account or a third account or accounts that you haven't touched in a while, like I do, I have a Town Hall 10 account that I rarely play, just use for recording, and you go ahead and log on, look at the defensive log. If for those of you who have inactive accounts that haven't looked at them in a long time, you'll know that pre-update you would look at that log and you'd be hammered for loot like you're the jackpot. You know, you'd be giving away loot like it's the attacker's birthday every single time, because you would essentially be turned into a dead base, and you'd provide a great collector raid because your collectors would start to build up, and then every time that your shield ran out, you would be hit again. Now, some of that might be because they're not getting shielded, but certainly not all of it. If you go to your dead accounts and you look at them, you'll find, as I found, as all every clanmate that I've asked about this, I've found the same thing, that your base is actually removed from the entire pool for a long stretch of time. That's if you catch the defense log at the right time. You might have so happened been hit 20 times in the last 24 hours because you just happened to be available during that time. But on my account, for example, there was a 2-day stretch that I was not attacked at all. And then when I was attacked after that, it was for very minimal loot. It was for less than 100,000 loot. So there's something going on there. That means that my collectors didn't have a chance to collect their resources. Now, that could be a glitch or a bug, so I don't want to go there based on one example, say that all dead bases are removed from the system. But for whatever reason, it does seem that there's a consensus right now in the community that dead bases, are collector raids, if you will, are very few and far between. It's not that they don't exist, it's that they're much more rare than they were previous to the update. I know a couple people who are still collector raiding, but even they admit that it's much tougher to find a collector base. This could be due to other things as well. Could be due to the way players are playing after the update. So there's a lot of factors that this could be, but at the end result is maybe it's not removed from the system, maybe this is due to some weird player behavior thing, but either way, there are fewer collector raids. That means that BARCH is not going to be as successful. That means that the topic of today's episode will be how to go ahead and win not using BARCH or BAM or very, very cheap armies, okay? So you can still use these strategies on boost, and you can still use them not on boost. That's what we're going to talk about, one of the things we're going to talk about today. So 3 strategies to win in the current system and when to use them. So when boosting, I prefer Super Queen. Really happy with the Super Queen video I brought yesterday. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and take a watch and a listen and see what you think. But I know a lot of you guys don't have a high-level queen. I'd recommend 10 as a bare minimum, level 10 on the queen. And a lot of you guys don't have a level 10 queen, or maybe your queen is upgrading. So in that case, you can just use good old-fashioned GiBARCH on boost if you're going to go ahead and do a boost session for raiding, or if you want to raid a bunch in a 1 or 2 hour period. If you don't have the ability to raid constantly or in small time windows, go ahead and cook up heavier armies, like Go Wipe. Go Wipe to farm? Yeah, that's something you can think about now. You can cook that overnight, or while you're at school or work, while you're not going to be able to play for a while, and then you can attack and try to look for a whale afterwards with that Go Wipe army. Same thing with Lavalunion for more casual players, like myself. I have almost 2 billion gold grab on 2 accounts, and that was all Lavalunion attacks. So you can certainly do that as well at Town Hall 9. Or Balloonion, old school Balloonion, if you don't want to use the Lava Hounds. So there's a lot of possibilities there. Tomorrow's episode, as I told you before, will be all about how to fix all the town halls, my opinion at least, and I thought long and hard about this, so I hope that I bring some viable and simple solutions to fix farming for a lot of people who are being frustrated right now in the game. So now let's get to today's content here. So when will I be using this type of composition? It's kind of like a go-ho, it's basically a go-ho wipe, I guess. And this is Mini Rayville, and he uses this army, and this is what I was talking about here. He waits, he's very patient, he's in gold league, so certainly can be viable through any league. You could also use this strategy up in Masters Leagues or even Champion League, because it's a really heavy army, and you shouldn't have much issue taking 100%ing most Town Hall 9 bases. So you're basically going to do this attack almost like it was a war raid. So it's very unfamiliar for a lot of attackers to be using such a heavy army when farming, and I know a lot of comments before I even read them will be, Ash, this isn't farming, this is not farming. But in my mind, anytime you're attacking for loot and not for trophies, well, that's farming. So this is the kind of thing you have to actually think about in the new Clash world, whether you like it or you don't. You know, I mean, some people can just complain or be upset about the changes, and there are certainly things that need to be addressed. But you know, a lot of smart Clashers right now are kind of taking advantage of the new system, and they're doing 2 things. They're using heavier armies when they're not going to be able to play for a while, and they're also taking advantage of attacking through shields. Another thing you guys are going to say to that is, well, what if you're a casual player and you only attack 1 or 2 times a day? Well, I mean, there's not going to be a perfect answer to every single scenario. If you only attack 1 or 2 times a day, odds are you weren't getting a ton of loot beforehand, and you were just hiding behind the free shields from the Town Hall snipe. And that's what they're trying to take away in the game. People hiding behind shields and Town Hall snipes and still being able to collect a bunch of loot because they're not being attacked. So those people are kind of out of luck. So, don't take it out on me, but that's kind of the system that we're in right now, okay? So let's move to the next attack here. The benefits of 4 Earthquake when farming. Now, this army composition by Legion of Loons, who is the heart and soul of Clash with Ash, a little shout out there to Legion of Loons, and this is a neat army because it's basically just GiBARCH, only adding a bunch of wizards and some spells. So it's definitely heavier than a traditional GiBARCH, but this strategy can absolutely dominate bases. I know a lot of people who are used to GiBARCHing with less expensive armies, without the wizards, for example, or without having to use spells, are frustrated right now because they're losing a lot, because they're used to finding dead bases here and there, and it's really successful to use any kind of cheap army, even GiBARCH with just maybe 8 to 15 giants. It's very successful to use that army when you're hitting collector raids, but you're going to have to consider using spells. And let's get back to the whole Earthquake spell that I mentioned in the beginning of this replay here. Is Earthquake's not as expensive as a lot of people think, and it's actually a decent option for attackers to use for Earthquake spells on these Town Hall 9 raids, because it works really well. There's a great synergy with Giants and Earthquake spell. You can basically direct them right to the center of the map. Same thing with heroes, so it's definitely an option you want to think about. Now, Fog here is using another kind of GiBARCH army. Well, it is a GiBARCH army. There's no wizards in this army, so it's a more fast building army, and you can see that he's Dark Elixir farming here, so he's not too concerned with his elixir. He's just gonna, you can see the 3-finger deployment there, obviously on the barbarians and the archers. It's basically easy. These attacks are not, too complicated. He's using a ton of giants, so it is a costly raid as far as elixir goes, but if you have both heroes up, this is actually a great strategy to use if you're Dark Elixir farming. You can see Fog here is trying to get his Archer Queen to level 30, and this is a great way to do it. Use your heroes, try to keep their health as high as possible, that way you can use them for the next raid, direct them right into the Dark Elixir with a ton of giants, and basically that's it. It's targeted raiding. You can when you're using a ton of giants and you have your heroes up, you're able to go right in there, get that Dark Elixir, and then end the battle. He should have probably ended right about now, but maybe he wasn't concerned with the. Maybe he was just going to log off after this. That's another good thing about the Village Guard now, is you do have a little bit of time to whatever you're going to do. If you have to wait 15 minutes for your heroes to go up, you can go ahead and shut the game off. So Legion of Loons again here on this last replay that I'll bring you today. And it's going to be another one of these cool Earthquake attacks. You can see that Earthquake really mitigated some of the funneling disaster that could have been the case on this defensive layout. And all the giants here with a nice spread coming from the southwest. And then again, the wizards first, and then he's going to start loading in the BARCH afterwards. And just funneling the troops into the center of the base. Plenty of loot, so you have to be patient. One thing about these replays is I've kind of shown you all across the leagues, done some gold. I believe there was a Crystal Raid in there, and also a Masters League, or a champion rather. It was a champion versus a master. So it just goes to show you that depending on how heavy or expensive of a raid you're using, if you're using Go White, for example, or Go-Ho, there's no reason why not to go ahead and hop up to Champions League if you can. If you're going to get rolled over on defense, then maybe you want to go hang down in Masters League or even Crystal League. But it's really up to the user. Find a comfortable spot, but try to take advantage of the league bonus if you can. That helps recoup some of your resources that you might not be gaining back every single raid. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned again for tomorrow's episode. We'll be going over a lot of ideas about how to fix the system. Certainly the system is not 100% broken, as I hopefully have proved through the last 3 episodes, but there are things that I feel do need addressing. So guys, stay tuned, and as always, take care. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. Just a few ways you can help the channel out. Number 1, like. Number 2, subscribe. And number 3, comment. Tell me what you think of the video. I really appreciate it, guys, and it really helps me out a lot. Also, you can find me on social media. I'm active every day on Twitter at clash_with_ash, and on Bindle chat group #ClashWithAsh. And as always, you can find me on my website at www.clashwithash.com. Thanks, guys.